engineer in CDEC Mohali. In our earlier section, our respected Muthi sir enlightened the concept of cybersecurity very well. In this session, our topic will be Introduction to Operating System for Windows as well as Linux. In our coming sessions, we'll be highlighting the hardening of operating system and its demonstration of Windows as well as Linux, both. So in our present section, it will be more of you can say just brushing up of what operating system is. So let's start with this topic: introduction to operating system and Windows and Linux. So if we start up with this, first of all, the very first thing that comes into our mind is whenever we start up our computer, when we turned on our computer, what happened is the very first thing that starts up is a special program called an operating system. This operating system is, you can say, an interface between the user as well as the hardware. It helps the user to interact with the hardware. Its job is to help other computer programs to work by handling these messy details of controlling the program computer hardware. No. So the very first thing when we start our computer is we see the operating system with which we interact, right? So what this operating system is actually, operating system is a system software which makes the computer to actual work. You know how this entire things work is just because of the operating system. The operating system is an interface between all the programs or all the application which are installed in our computer with their hardware itself. So whenever the various programs or the application program, we would say, the application programs have to get executed, and those will be executed on the hardware itself. So we would say the operating system plays a significant role in executing these application programs on the hardware. When we are talking about the machine hardware, we mean by the devices which are connected to the computer, let it be printer, let it be mouse or keyboard, and other you can say processing units, that is CPU, right? We can access RAM also via these application program. So it is a software which enables all the program that we use to use that hardware, fine. So basically it organizes and controls the hardware. The various operating system that we use these days are Windows, Linux, Unix, and Macintosh, right? So this was the can say a bit of outlining of operating system, what operating system is. Now, in detail, if we discuss that why we need operating system, first of all, we must know that why we have got all these hardwares, for example, CPU, IO peripherals that we discussed just now. If user want to access these hardware, but how will that user interact with these hardware do not understand our language, so we need an intermediate software which can tell our you can say instructions to that hardware devices, so that they can give us the required solution. If operating system is not there, then to access hardware we have to write programs. Those programs, for example, if we take an example of printing a, a Microsoft document, right? I want to print some document and I need to give command to the printer, right? With the help of operating system, I can simply either click Control P, or I can directly click that print button, and my printing task will be done. But if operating system is not there, then I have to write a program to to execute my instruction, right? So for accessing the document, I have to write one program. For printing like that document, I have to write a program. So it will become very chaotic thing to do, right? So we cannot print it directly. So we first have to write a program to invoke the printer, right? Which is very difficult thing or the difficult way to interact with it. So for this reason, we need operating system which perform various basic tasks and help us to be more interactive, and it is very user friendly as well. So its main tasks are controlling and allocating memory, prioritizing system requests, controlling input and output devices, facilitating networks, and managing file systems. So we can say an operating system is must if we are uh, in a computer, this domain. For example, let's take one more example why we need computer. Suppose one user is using a hardware, it is using a printer, right? We know that we have many programs, application programs, which are hosted in a computer, right? Now, let's suppose a scenario, let's take a scenario that an application program, one program, is trying to use or is using a printer, let's say. Now, meanwhile, it has occupied a printer. The another application program also want to access that same printer, the same resource, right? That means one process is occupying or is using one resource, which is again requested by some other process to use, right? Another process also want to execute the same resource. In this situation, when there is a deadlock condition, the first process will not leave the resource, right, automatically. And similarly, the another process cannot occupy that resource, right? So this condition of deadlock will prevail, which will lead to a situation where one process is utilizing one resource but it will not leave the another one. Here comes the role of operating system. The operating system helps or control each and every task which is going on. Each and every process which is being executed on the is done by the operating system only. We will do it in detail. Like you can see the structure of the operating system. In the very core area, we have hardware, which is surrounded by operating system, which is the very first software which we need to run or to access or invoke that hardware. These software are further categorized into two parts. One is system software and application program or application software. You might have uh, listened to those. So what is system program? System program is basically a program which is required, which is mandatorily required to run the hardware. An application program are the other programs which we use. For example, if we talk about MS Office, that is an application program, or a window media player, that is again an application program. System program we talk about is like our compiler, our assembler, right? So similarly, our operating system is also a system software. So highlighting the structure of operating system, you can see here we have hardware, and the hardware includes a central processing unit, main memory and IO devices, etc. Various peripherals, input-output peripherals are also included in the hardware, and other secondary devices which we talk about. Those all are included in the hardware devices, right? Then software or the operating system. This software, if we call about operating system, the various features of operating system includes process management, right? Then memory management, input-output operation management, file management routines. These all are the features which we'll discuss in our coming slides. Right? This is just a structure to know what operating system is, what it includes basically. Then programs. The system programs are those programs which are mandatory. Like these are very important programs without which our computer cannot work, right? So for that, this is the very first core, you can say core software, which is operating system, which we are talking about. It's a system software or system program. This layer consists of compilers, assemblers, linkers, loaders, etc. Right? These are basically used to communicate the user or the program or the process which want to get executed, and the hardware devices, right? Then application program are the user requirement or user defined programs, right? For example, database management, if the basic example we talk about MS Office, that is an application program, right? As per the you can say requirement of the user, we install it and we just use it, okay? It is not the actual, or you can say the basic requirement of the computer to run, but it is, yes, it is an important thing to use, right? So further we have various kind of operating system here. uh, if we talk about in earlier time, we got Unix, right? It was developed in 1970 in AT&T Labs, right? Which is a multinational company. They made it for their personal use, and it was developed by Dennis Ritchie. Uh, During that time, they were having that copyright system, which can be used by various tech companies. It was a command line interface, which was not that interactive or user friendly. For that reason, these are this is like the very first example of operating system, right? One of those. Then further, we have various types of operating system, which we are going to discuss. The very first and very primary type of operating system is batch processing system or batch processing operating system, right? What happens in this kind of operating system is, in this batch processing operating system, the similar nature of tasks were set together, like a set of tasks or set of programs which were of similar kind were put together to the CPU for execution in one go, right? As the name suggests, batch means a set of programs or the set of processes, you can say, set of application program, you can say. All those, that entire batch was uh, put to the CPU for execution at a time. It was very simple operating system, but the major drawback of this operating system was its throughput was very high. I mean, throughput was very low and response time was very high, because as we say, it is a batch processing system. In this, the entire, like if we have a set of 10 processes, let's say P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, right? Till P10. Now, the output of all the processes will come in one go at the end of the execution of P10. So that's why it is known as batch, because the output for each and every process or each and every task comes in the end of the execution of all the or entire set of the tasks. So it was simple. Its major task is to transfer control from one job to the next job. Once the first job is executed, it will jump to the second job, then to the third job, then to the fourth job, and it goes on. The job was submitted to the computer operator in the form of punch cards, and sometime later the output appears. So it used to, it in this operating system always, you can say, get stored in the memory itself, right? Which was again wastage of memory. So the common input devices were card readers and tape drives. And you can see in the diagram here, the operating system is hosted in it and user program area is this one. So a big part of, you can say, this memory is occupied by operating system only. So the common output devices were line printers, tape drivers, and card punches. The user didn't interact directly with the computer system, but he prepared a job that is compromising the program, the data, and some control information. The biggest drawback of this kind of operating system is that in case if one of the process in the batch is having any error, it cannot be debugged in the same time. We need to wait for its output and only then we can process further. So after that, the multi-programming operating system came into the picture, wherein the drawbacks of batch processing operating system were recovered. In this, we can execute a number of programs simultaneously in the single processor, right? For example, all the number of processes that we fed to get execute to the CPU reside in the main memory at a time. Operating system pick one and begin to execute. When the job is completed, when one job is entirely executed, then the second one comes up, right? So if any input output wait happens in this process, the CPU switches to the second job. For example, if you can say if there is an example of process one is getting executed, and meanwhile it's one of the page is kept in the some secondary device. The moment which is taken to bring that page from the secondary storage device to the main memory, meanwhile CPU do not still idle, it do not stays idle, it start execution of process 2. Meanwhile the page of process 1 is brought to the main memory, then again CPU switches to the first P1 again for its execution, and whole process continues like this only. Hence, CPU do not stays idle at any time, right? So this was another important and very, you can say, efficient kind of operating system. As virtual memory, you can say the concept of virtualization also comes in this operating system. Like for an example, you can see this picture. Here we have operating system in one slot, then job 1, job 2, job 3, job 4, and job 5. All these 5 jobs are there, right? CPU executes them one by one, right? That is why it is known as multi-programming. That means at one time, many programs can be executed with this, right? So in detail, if we go, it will take our whole day. So these were just highlights. That's why we will not invest our more time in this. Going forward to the advantages of multi-programming are that it is efficient in memory utilization. More efficiently, we can use the memory. The throughput also increases because meanwhile, the process one is getting ready, then another process start executing as we discussed earlier, and CPU never stays idle. So for this reason, the performance of this kind of operating system is quite high. Then the next type of operating system is time sharing system. It is a multitasking system. The time sharing system is also known as multitasking operating system. It is a logical extension of multi-programming. What are the disadvantages of multi-programming operating system are, balanced by time sharing system. In this, multiple jobs are executed by switching the CPU between them. The biggest drawback of multi-programming operating system was that in multi-programming operating system, for example, let's take this example only with this figure. Let's suppose the task length of this particular task, job 1, is lesser. Like this program, the job 1 program is smaller in comparison to job 2, and in turn job 3 is the biggest job which is to be executed by the CPU. In this case, when job 1 is getting executed, job 3 is waiting for more time, like it has to wait for more time. There is, and let's take another example. If job 4 is the smallest one, then job 4 has to wait a lot more because job 3 is the biggest job which is to be executed. It will take more time in comparison to job 1 and 2. So job 4 will have to wait, and it will, there comes a, you can say, a concept which is known as starvation. It will starve for CPU, right? So in order to avoid this starvation, wherein the smaller process have to wait along for getting executed, then another time sharing system, this operating system was developed, wherein each process is given a proper, you can say, a time lapse for each job. In this, the CPU time is shared by different processes, so that's why it is known as time sharing system. A time slice is given to each and every program for sharing of CPU time, right? So this is also another example. Multics and Unix, these are the time sharing operating systems. right? So those jobs, like for example, job 1 is getting executed for 10 seconds. Then if still it is left, the next after the execution of job 5 for 10 seconds, and again its time will come, right? So these are the various kinds of operating system which we have discussed. The other are like real-time operating system, right? Similarly, we have features of operating system. Various features we have already discussed, and a few still to be discussed here. Like the first one is process management, right? Security management, input output operations, device management, disk management, storage management, right? These all features are very important features of operating systems. Like for example, if we discuss about process management, it tells us how to execute many processes at a time. This is taken care of by operating system only. This is one of the most important feature. The operating system use various CPU scheduling algorithms to, for example, if what these CPU scheduling algorithms are, which are included in process management. For example, there is a program of C that I have to execute, right? Now, operating system will use the CPU scheduling algorithm, right? The most efficient algorithm will take the lesser time in executing it, as well as it will utilize the CPU to the fullest, right? It will efficiently schedule those processes to the CPU so that it can give its best. CPU can give its best, right? Similarly, storage management, if we talk about, storage management includes the secondary devices, right? Like we earlier talked about secondary storage device. It is done by file system like NFS, CFS, that is network file system, right? So further, the data is stored in the file system by the operating system itself. Like if we take an example, it is stored in tracks in the spindle, right? Which is further divided into data segments. Then we talk about good block and bad block, right? So in depth, these are entire, you can say entire sessions which we can take in detail also. So for next, memory management is another very important feature. Storage management and memory management are interrelated to one another. In memory management, we talk about RAM, right? Because of the limitation of size. This is another operating systems feature, important, significant feature it is. We talk about the RAM, because RAM management is also very important. All the processes which are to be executed uh, by the CPU are first brought to the RAM, they are stored there, and only then they are allocated to the CPU, right? For that, for example, if uh, I want to execute program 1 and I have two programs in the queue, one is program 1 and another one is program 2, then both the programs have to be stored first or allocated first in the RAM. Only then they can be sent to the this CPU, right? And meanwhile, the pages of the program 1 are not completely present in the RAM. They have to be brought up from the, you can say, from the back store memory. We first have to allocate and deallocate the pages. This swapping of pages is done. This, if some, like in program 1, if some page is not present over there, it is it is found from the, like it is found in the database. Then it has to be brought to the main memory first, and only then it will get executed. Otherwise, if that page is not found, it will lead to the page fault trap, right? So in this way, this is another important feature of operating system. And then is device management. Device management, wherein all the device drivers and the loaders and everything, we talk about that thing, right? Then loading and execution, we got various algorithms for scheduling in this, right? So all these things are taken care of by operating system. Like earlier, we talk about page loading. In this, like we can see, there are various algorithms, page loading algorithms. There are various CPU scheduling algorithms. Then page replacement algorithms are there, right? They dynamically manage the memory area and insert the new pages and swap it with the old pages which are already executed, right? And the pages which are not found, they are known as page fault traps. These are few terminologies which are usually used in operating system. That's why we are discussing these. Then whenever a page, we talk about page fault trap, right? Page fault trap is basically a concept wherein the page the CPU wants to execute is not present in the RAM, and it is being brought up from the main memory, brought up to the main memory, and meanwhile it generates an error called page fault trap. That means the page which it was looking for is not present there. Similarly, uh, for overcoming from this kind of problem, there is a page table concept again. This page table, each and every page, there a table is maintained for each and every page, right? Like which page will be present here, which will be which track will be free, which will be the busy page, right? So similarly, this entire uh, device management, memory management, and storage management uh, goes simultaneously with the virtualization, and operating system works in this kind of scenario, right? Now, various operating systems we have here. The like first one is Windows operating system, mainframe, DOS operating system, Linux, Macintosh, Amiga OS, right? So types of operating system, as you can see, there are various types of operating system which we are already we have hands on with these operating system. By the pictures, you can easily recognize those are Macintosh, like one is Apple operating system, that is Macintosh, right? Another one is DOS operating system, then Windows, right? So these operating systems help us to interact with the hardware. So as you can see, one of the very famous operating system and very prior operating system was Unix. Unix was written in 1971 by Dennis Ritchie, and the advantages of Unix are that it was multitasking, like multiple programs can run at a time, with multi-user also. That is, multi-user means single user. Uh, there can be single user or there can be more than one user as well, right? It accomplished sharing process time. We talk about time sharing system. This was one of that, and it is safe as well. It prevents one program from accessing the memory storage space allocated to the another program, and enables file protection also. So Linux is basically the extension of Unix only. What Linux exactly is, uh, Linux is made from Unix only. It is basically kernel based operating system. Kernel, we mean by kernel we mean heart, core, right? So it is Unix like kernel based, fully memory protected and multitasking operating system, which was developed originally in 1991 by Linus Torvald at the University of Helsinki, right? It runs a wide range of hardware from PCs to Macs, right? Then it is further CLI, and that is CLI is command line interface, and GUI based also, graphical user interface both. Then comes the Windows, right? Why Linux was used? Linux came into the picture because of its throughput. By throughput, we mean that the work done and the time taken was almost like in lesser time, more work is done. So the throughput of the Linux is basically more in comparison to Unix. That's why most of the computer users still prefer Linux because of its security and its throughput. Nearly 82% of its throughput 82% of its throughput is more than that of the Windows, right? If we talk about Windows, then the very first version was released in 1992 by Microsoft. Windows is GUI based operating system with the powerful networking capabilities and multitasking, and it is very convenient also. Because of its convenience only, this operating system is preferred all over the world, right? Nearly 95% of users use this operating system because of its convenience. As we have already discussed, that command line interface is a bit difficult because we have to remember the commands uh, in Unix and in Linux we talk about. But in Windows, it is a graphical user interface, and it can be easily, even children can easily use it, right? So in Windows, there were various versions which comes up. Windows XP was launched in 2001, Windows 7 in 2009, Windows 8 in 2012, and further Windows 10. It was released in 2015, and as you can see in the graph, various computer users that use it. 1% is for the programming language. C++ code is 0.1%, assembler code 0.01%, Linux 15%, Windows 70%, you can see. So the usability of the Windows is more in comparison to Linux, but Linux is more secure. So if we talk about the difference between the two, Linux and the Windows, we can easily find the various plus points of Linux, whereas there are other plus points in Windows. So both are like balanced, you can say. Like Linux is an open source, right? Whereas Windows has copyright, we have to buy license for the same, right? Linux is free, whereas Windows you cost from $150 to $320 depending upon the version. Then free softwares are there in Linux, and Windows we have cost software, right? So Linux is more secure, viruses do not uh, if affected, malware do not affect it, whereas Windows are easily prone to viruses. And then Linux have low hardware cost, whereas Windows have more hardware cost. If we talk about other differences, the manufacturer of the kernel open community, it's a Linux manufacturer, while the Windows manufacturer is Microsoft. If we talk about usage, then it is used, Linux is used in mainframes, personal and phone also, personal computers, servers, etc. While Windows are used in personal computers, tabs, and phones. In Linux, we got the file system as AST, while in Windows we have FAT32, NTFS, right? In Linux, it is GNU based, while Windows is disk operating system based operating system, right? So in this way, Linux and Windows both are very different. As you can see, it is open source. Again, Linux uses monolithic kernel, while Windows uses microlithic kernel. Now, what is monolithic and microlithic? Monolithic kernels are those kernels uh, which has a large process running in a single address space, right? You can say monolithic cannot be broken and microlithic can be broken. Monolithic kernels are the big programs, big processes which cannot be, which are running in the single address space, but it cannot be broken, right? While microlithic are those which comprises of core functionalities of the system. It can be broken into into separate processes called servers, right? So Linux includes monolithic kernels which cannot be broken, and Windows uses microlithic uh, microkernels or microlithic kernels which can be broken up, right? And efficiency of Linux is more in operation as compared to Windows. We have already discussed it, that the throughput of Linux is more in comparison to Windows. Similarly, path separator, forward slash is used in this, and Windows uses backward slash, right? Then security wise also, Linux is much more secure than in comparison to Windows. This security issue will be discussed in our upcoming sessions in detail. Like, so further we have, if any if any queries are there, kindly let me know. Please, participants, if you have any query or any confusion, kindly let me know. I think it is clear. Everything is clear. Linux is more secure because you will get to know about this in detail in our next sessions. Basically, the kernel and the structure of the Linux is made in such a process, you can say in such a way that the interaction between the process and the kernel is the main thing, right? So it is more secure. In our upcoming session, you will be knowing it in detail that how we attack these operating systems like Windows or Linux in detail with demonstration, how we harden these operating systems, right? So basically the entire setup of Linux and Windows you will get to know in detail, right? Any other query, please? Okay. Thanks a lot for sharing and thank you. Our next session will be continued at 12, right? Till then, we have break for 10 minutes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for the wonderful session. Dear participants, we'll take for a 5 minutes break.